All right, good morning, everyone. I'd just like to welcome everyone to our academic assembly this morning, the purpose of which is to recognise the efforts of all of our students for their performance on the Semester 2 report cards from last year. I'd like to make a big mention to our parents and friends who are watching via live stream, and also welcome our Year 8 boys who are watching from the big band room. Start this morning, I'd just like to give the acknowledgement of land. I would like to acknowledge the Darumbal people, the traditional owners of this land. I'd also like to pay respect to the elders past, present and emerging of the Darumbal people, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island peoples present with us today. For our parents, they might not know, but every assembly we have, and when we gather together, we start with a reflection and prayer. And on these mornings, it's my opportunity to lead that reflection. As Mr. Jorgensen would know, normally I make mention of my daughter, but he said she's now 13 and 14 and has no redeeming qualities, so we can't actually be including her into our celebrations anymore. But I do have a reflection prepared that goes on to other issues, and to start, I'd just like you to make the sign of the cross. In the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. Now, this is going to be a really strange way to start a reflection for those who have seen me talk before, but I would like to commence this morning by telling you about some of the accomplishments of Donald Trump's presidency. And parents, please stay with me. A lot of you may not realise it, but during his 4 years in office, he did notch up some remarkable feats, and these are a couple of examples. The unemployment rate in the United States dropped to 3.5%, the lowest since 1961, so the lowest in over 50 years. National incomes increased by $6,000 annually, an increase of 5 times the amount that was done by the Obama government. Prescription drugs fell by 10%, petrol and electricity prices all declined, leading to household savings of more than $4,000 a year. Trump implemented industrial reforms that increased manufacturing and consequently an annualised increase in the US economy of 33%, the most rapid rate of GDP growth in the US history. He brokered a peace deal between Israel and Egypt, which will now be a benchmark for ongoing negotiations with all other Arab states. He started no international conflicts, and he significantly reduced American armed forces in the Middle East, the Asian Pacific and Europe. Quite amazing. But few of those accomplishments, gentlemen, will be remembered by the general public. What will stick in the minds of most people was that Trump was a bigot, a misogynist, and he had little consideration for decency. They will remember that he publicly humiliated women, that he affronted journalists, that he supported racist groups, and that he was self-serving and self-interested. They will note that he regularly lied, and when he was proven wrong, he would implicate other people's to avoid having to say, "I made a mistake," or "I'm sorry." And the reason that those negative impressions will stay with people and that his legacy will basically be lost to the pages of history is because, if you indulge me a very quirky pun here, character trumps achievement. At the end of the day, character matters. It does not matter what you achieve, boys, but it's going to be about how you achieve it. It doesn't matter what goals you realise, but how you realise them. And it's not about what you do, but it's how you conduct yourself when you do it. It's about whether you build people up or whether you tear people down when you travel through this world. And character does not tear them down. Character does not judge or belittle. It does not begrudge, it does not intimidate, it does not ridicule, it does not bully. It does not condemn, it does not isolate, it does not victimise. Character is caring and compassionate, It's humble, tolerant and patient. It's considerate and respectful. It's stoic, it's resilient, it's genuine, and it's often deliberately and intelligently silent. There is strength of character and there is strength in character, boys, and this school is full of people who exemplify the attributes that I just talked about. So, let's put a face to what character looks like in this school. Character looks like Trevor Ganane. It looks like Matthew Campbell. It looks like Jackie Russell. It looks like Barungai Young. It is Shane Pearce. It is Brian Barry. It is Bailey Arnold. It's Kristen Jones. It's Mitchell Baker. Character is Corey Owens and Peter Reddy and Braith Lorenz. It's Warren Brown and it's Kay Morley. And of course it's this face, which sits just outside our door. The Gospels are full of examples of the way that Christ conducted himself. He typified the term character. He was the peacemaker, he was the great includer, he was the teacher, and he was a servant at the same time. He was the first to wash somebody else's feet, the first to forgive, and the first to turn the other cheek. So my prayer this morning, boys, is that you look to the right people to emulate. Don't be caught up in the gloss of the achievement. Look carefully at the way that those particular people conduct themselves and that you follow those more like Christ and more like those people I showed you on this slide who put decency and goodness before achievement. Because at the end of the day, character matters. Mother of Perpetual Help, St. Brendan, may we live Jesus in our hearts. Please make the sign of the cross. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you for listening, boys. Thank you for sharing that with me. And now I ask Mr. Corboy to come forward for a general reflection.
Thanks, Mr. Horan. Look, good morning, everyone. Okay, today we're about to acknowledge the academic achievements from last year. In actual fact, we're actually acknowledging people's effort, people's commitment, and people's attitude in an academic setting. So, tremendous for those people who are going to be standing up here today. I think there's 261 of you. But before I do that, I just want to speak on a topic. And Mr. Horan got up and did a beautiful reflection there, and we don't talk. So what I'm about to say sits beautifully in his reflection. And that's about what I would call people who come into your life who are special. And I would probably use the word gift, where the people are gifts that God has provided us up until this point and will continue to provide us throughout our life. And sometimes you'll realise these people, and sometimes you may not. But you'll see God will put people in your lives to inspire, to encourage, and at times challenge you. And sometimes it can be a moment in time. You know, it can be a complete stranger, or it could be that word from in your words, a random, who will put their hand on the shoulder and go, "Muddy, I wouldn't do that," to hold you back from the precipice. It could be somebody who will come into your life for a matter of weeks or a month or a year, and sometimes it will be somebody who will journey with you throughout your entire life. And they come in all forms. It can be, as I said, a stranger, it can be a family member, it can be your best friend, an English teacher, all those faces that Mr. Horn was pointing to you just before. It could be your dorm supervisor, it could be the coach, it could be a cleaner here, it could come in any form. And they are gifts from God to inspire you to be the best version of yourselves. And look, I toyed with the idea about gift. I thought, do I use hero? Do I use mentor? But I came back to the word gift because the true sense of a gift is something that is given without expecting anything in return. It's also comes from a place where somebody's saying you are special. And at the end of the day, it's up to the person who receives it what they will do with that gift. It's the t-shirt that will end up being in the top drawer that won't come out, or it could be that t-shirt that will be a constant reminder that somebody cares for you or thinks you are special and will be part of you. But mostly, hopefully, as we go through life, that we'll have the wisdom to be able to see what these gifts are to us and how important they are. And I'll give you a couple examples from my life to help recognise maybe people in your life. When I went to university, before I became a teacher, I came across this bloke. We got on pretty well. And he turned a phrase right at the start. He said, "If you're mad, I'm mad." It was a throwaway line. But that one really stuck with me. And we became really good mates. And basically you're saying to me, I care how you feel. And I've got your back. And he is my go-to person throughout the rest of my life. And been really good mates. And he's that person, he lives in another state. And if I have an issue or I want to have a chat, I pick up the phone and I call him. He's got his wife and kids and great family. But he calls me out. He calls me an idiot if I'm an idiot, and he calls me and challenges me if he thinks it's not the right decision. But I listen to him because I know it comes from a good place with no expectation, but other than trying to allow me to be the best version of myself. The second person is just about turning 60, okay? And his story, he was a guy where school was really difficult for him. In actual fact, I'll even say cruel. Okay, so he was a person who had dyslexia. And back in those days, they didn't know what that was. And they basically just termed him as being, or labelled him as being dumb. And sadly, he believed that too. Nowadays, thank the Lord that we've moved on from those days. And dyslexia is just another learning difference, as is hearing impairment or audio processing differences that need some support with, colour blindness and all that. And this school is great at providing those people who may have those learning differences the opportunity to engage in their learning. We celebrate them. Everybody sitting here would know if that applies to them, or we have everybody across the spectrum. Okay, so he was a boy that really found it difficult, to the point he even stuttered as a little kid because he was finding schoolwork difficult, and just the sheer embarrassment, he developed this stuttering. And he recalls about standing in front of a classroom of 41 of his peers, laughing at him, where he stood at the blackboard, and the words were just jumbled to him. He couldn't make sense of what was written on the board, and the laughter that provided the entertainment for the class. And so as a young boy, what do? You compensate, and he became the class clown and acted out. His woodwork teacher made him use glue for his woodwork projects instead of nails, and basically told him, "You will amount to nothing," which was just horrific. So he actually repeated year 9 and left in grade 10. So fortunately, he didn't allow that to define who he was. He actually used that as motivation. So as he went through life, he used those words from his woodwork teacher and the laughter of those students to try and make himself a better student. So since leaving, he's carted water, those water bottles. He's been a labourer. He actually became a bit of a good surfer and was sponsored by that clothing company called Billabong. He got into digital printing back in those days, where you make walls and sizes of tables where you put digital designs on. So he was talking to CEOs in AFL, national construction companies. He actually started a business where he would go around 3 states teaching kids maths. So for somebody who finished in year 10, here his job is, and his business is going around to states, 3 states, interacting with primary schools and doing interactive maths, where using the physical experience to break open concepts of maths to kids and getting them to fall in love with maths. He actually co-authored a book on that concept. He sold the concept to Saudi Arabia. He's actually written 3 books. The first one's the maths book, the second one is about his life journey, and the one he's about to finish now is about his religious beliefs. So what has he left me? Why is he a gift to me? First and foremost, as a principal of a school, the word dumb is banned. Don't you ever let anybody tell you you are hopeless or dumb. And most importantly, don't you ever believe that of yourself. You're a gift. If I had a teacher here calling somebody dumb, they would be in my office to explain why they should be part of St Brendan's. That's the first lesson I took from him. But he embodies resilience. To see him live his life over 59 years and what life has thrown at him, and how he's risen past that and moved forward with it and used it as a source of inspiration, is extraordinary. His proudest moment was getting that maths book and going to his old school and them asking to buy it from him. So he used that adversity and made something of himself. You know, he has a wisdom that's born from adversity and faith. He's super optimistic, inspires me to be optimistic about life. He sees the best in people. He lives gratitude, empathy and mindset. We talk about our resilience project. He lives that daily. And he lives by a motto that as long as you keep moving forward, that's the most important thing, regardless what life throws at you. So he's always been my life, and fortunately he's been my brother. And for those who are boarders, they would know him as a supervisor down here. For me, he's a gift, and I'll keep learning from him and his wisdom. For you, hopefully you'll have the opportunity to, where he can inspire. One of his greatest assets about who he is about lifting people up and getting them to believe in themselves. So he's far wiser than me, for sure. He's more capable, and he's also more gifted than myself. I think we've just gone in 2 different journeys and have different directions and journeys, and I'll be forever taking the opportunity when I can to learn from him, because he's got so much to give. So I give you those as 2 examples, and each of you have people in your life. It could be a family member, as I said, in my case, it could be a coach, or it could be a good mate. I want you to sit at their feet and take everything you can, all the learnings you can from these people, because they are gifts from God for you to be the best you can be. Because I promise you, God will keep sending people into your life, and sometimes at those times when you're at your lowest and you feel it, your loneliest time of your life, there will be people that will just come into your life for that moment, for that period of time, and they're there to be with you. So all you've got to do is look up and look around and realise that sometimes you too might be called to be a gift for someone else. Our goal at St Brendan's is for you to believe that you too are a gift for the world. Whether you're going to be a good mate, be a family member, one day a father, or a really good community man. So, as I've said, as you've moved through your time here, that person sitting right beside you might be that gift that God has sent for you. You may be a gift for somebody who might be doing it a little bit tougher, and you're the one to raise the hand out and to lift up. Okay, change of focus. All right, we've got 200 new boys here, 24, 26 plus staff. So this time last year, we had a little bet going. So I think we had about 270 award winners this time last year. And a betting man, I made a bet with the community and said, this time in second semester, If you get to 300, I'll come up with an idea for the community. If you go to 330, I'll have to come up with something really special. And if you recall, we got that 330. We didn't get 329, we didn't get 331, we got 330 academic award winners. So at the end of the year, we shortened the day, we put on a carnival. We had slippery slides and activities, and we had sideshow alley rides, and for some we actually had a free helicopter ride. And that was the outcome of that bet that I had to deliver. So for those who are new, I just want to show you how, well, you need to think about the bet that I'm about to provide you. So I need you to make an informed decision here. So to show you how it is achievable, I'm going to ask all those people who are receiving an award today to stand up, please. You will see there's 261. Keep standing. I'm now going to ask anybody who has received an award have received awards since their time being at St Brendan's to stand up. Okay. Have a look around. And there would be boys who are in the band room also standing as we speak. Sitting down. Here's the deal. 261. Let's make it 300, and I've got to do something special. Make it 340 for next semester, and I've got to come up with something on par with what we did last year. You only have one vote, and it's going to be a show of hands. So somebody in the boardroom, one of the staff members, I just need you to come and indicate which one is the majority in the band room, as I'll make the decision here as well. So I'm going to ask you to put your hand up if you want to go for the 300. That's really achievable. That's 40. As you can see, there was a good another 100 and something people standing up. 340 is an extra 80 people standing up, guaranteed, on top of the 260. So, if you want to be safe and go for the 300 and lock something in, and you're nearly guaranteed of achieving that, put your hands up. Okay, I'm in trouble. All right, hands up if you want to go for the 340, not 330, 340. All right, we're on. Game on. Can I have somebody from the band room to come in just to make sure we've got it right? You may have seen on the live screen, 95% of the people in this room actually want to go for the 340 again. All right, so to finish up, I'll find out when somebody comes through. Right, to find out, I'll do that in a moment, but as we move forward, congratulations to the 61 boys receiving an award today. You should be very proud of your achievement, and I'm sure, no doubt, your family are, and we as a school are too. For the rest of you, there's the challenge that exists. If you get 339, deal is off. All right, 335, deal's off. 340 is the magic number. Hopefully you'll get it. Thank you very much.
After that, there's probably only one thing more to say. As always, gamble responsibly. So, if we start the Year 8 presentations, I would just like Jesse McWhinney to come forward. Jesse was the Dux of Year 7. On his Semester 2 report card, Jesse attained 8 Year A's. It was a remarkable effort from a remarkable young man. I'd just like to put your hands together, please, for Jesse to make him welcome.
I would like Mr Bjorn Prince, Head of Year 8, Mr Nez Goves and Mr Daniel O'Toole to present the academic awards to the Year 8 students. Miss Goves is the College Head of Visual Art. She holds a degree from the Australian Catholic University, Brisbane. During her time as a student, she won the Vice-Chancellor's grant to study in Italy at the Venice Biennale, an international art exhibition. She is a talented artist in her own right, and she received 2 University Showcase Awards for her work and a scholarship to teach. She has held volunteer teaching positions in Yasawa Island in Fiji, and before arriving at St. Brendan's was the head of faculty at Serena State High School. Miss Scopes has an interest in Indigenous art and spirituality and is currently working on a major project with the Clontarf and Torres Strait artists. Mr. O'Toole completed his schooling and university studies in Brisbane. Upon graduating from Morris College Ashgrove, he spent 2 years working in coaching and other fields before completing a Bachelor of Secondary Education in HPE and Mathematics at the Queensland University of Technology. While undertaking his degree, he held numerous part-time roles as a school care officer, teacher aide, rugby union coach, and referee. He joins the Mathematics and HPE departments and has taken a position in boarding. Please welcome Miss Goves and Mr. O'Toole. The Academic Achievement Awards, which require at least 1 A and nothing less than a C, are the first on our list. They have been awarded to the following boys: Thorn Allery, Reed Beckett, Keely Bones, Maxwell Bowman Conlon, Oliver Dadson, Declan Dunn, Matthew Dunwoody, Sheldon Fraser, Quinton Green, Kobe Hoff, Oliver Leet, Nicholas Meyer, Hutch Pisani, Brody Scullen, Taj Stoyle, Isaac Thompson, Gareth Wakubi, and Jarrell Willis. Please put your hands together for the Year 8 Academic Achievement winners. The Academic A Awards, which require 2 or 3 A's and nothing less than a C, go to the following boys: Max Armstrong, LeBron Bartlett, Kai Bales, Cameron Bromley, Nash Caulfield, Tyler Crosland, London Duggan, Phoenix Ellis, Jacob Hudson, Jack Hutton, Mac Leggett, Jesse Remfrey, Joshua Russell, Ashton Ryan, Alexander Sheehan, Cassius Smallwood, Samuel Smith, Samuel Sonter, Charlie Strugnell, and Ambrose Tibbs. Please congratulate the Year 8 Academic A winners. The final awards for the Year 8 boys are the Academic A+ badges. Receiving them are Matthew Bezadenhout, Jackson Booth, Nate Brooks, Ezekiel Curran, Mason Dendel, Stacey Hollingsworth, Harrison Hoy, Samuel Janes, Peter Kalachinsky, Connor Lees, myself, Jesse McWhinney, Nate Muller, Jake Murphy, Finn Newman, William Ranger, Hayden Rutledge, Fletcher Scanlon, Toby Simpkins, Etienne Van Wyk, Jack Watson, and Mackenzie Watts.
Please put your hands together for the Year 8 Academic A+ winners. Nate, you want to lead us off? No? Get on. All right, thank you, boys. It was interesting sitting in the front row and listening to the whispers of the Year 7s behind me who haven't been a part of this celebration before, but the numbers in the brackets after the names of the boys receiving Academic A+ are actually the number of A's that each of those boys received on their semester report card. So in a number of cases, or in a lot of those cases, the boys are receiving 7 out of 7 A's from their 7 subjects. The reason that Jesse had 8 was because in some cases with the term rotations, the Year 7s can actually do 8 subjects. So in Jesse's case, he got 8 A's from that. I'd also ask you one more time to just put your hands together for Jesse, because as a 13-year-old coming up and presenting to a live-streamed audience and to 800 or so of your compatriots and over 60 teaching staff, it can be quite daunting, and I think he did a fantastic job. To present the Year 9 Academic Awards, the Ducks of Year 8 last year, and the Ducks, the previous year of his Year 7 cohort, was Matthew Campbell. Please put your hands together and welcome Matthew.
Assisting with the presentation of the Year 9 awards will be Mr Paulo Picotto, Mrs Amy McFarlane and Mr Baden Shaline. Mrs McFarlane completed her secondary education at Emmaus College and then a Bachelor of Business at the CQ University, majoring in accounting. She worked in public practice for several years and then completed a graduate diploma to qualify as a chartered accountant. Upon attaining that qualification, she worked in the mining industry for Thiess at the Curragh North Project, Blackwater, as the Finance and Administration Superintendent. She completed a Master of Teaching from the Christian Heritage College in 2020, where she was awarded the Dean's Commendation and the Associated Christian Schools Augustine Award for Academic Excellence. She graduated with the highest overall GPA in the Master of Teaching course. Mrs McFarlane joins the Mathematics Department. Mr Shaline graduated from Grace Lutheran College in Brisbane and studied at the University of Queensland, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Secondary Education. Upon graduating, he spent 6 months teaching in Charters Towers before returning to Brisbane to teach. He joins the English and Humanities departments and is also a boarding supervisor at Edmund Rice. Please make Mrs McFarlane and Mr Shaline welcome. Starting with the Academic Achievement Awards, we have the following boys: Isaac Alexander, Michael Amity, Jack Egan, Ethan Grant, Dylan Hughes, Blake Johnson, Jai Kidd, Wyatt McGaw, Tyler Melrose, Quinn Mursky, Mitchell Norris, Tarkin O'Bree, Ethan Perry, Nazareno Pisani, Bodie Ricketts, Matthew Rogers, Elijah Stone, Crease Fillions, Seth Thornton, Jaden Wilson Goldman, and Philip Yock. Kindly acknowledge the Year 9 Academic Achievement winners. Meeting the criteria for an Academic A are Jeshua Armat, Brad Cumberledge, Clay Dendell, Alex Eaton, O'Sheen Foster, Hayden Gittins, Cooper Hall, Alex Hode, Dan Hutchinson, Cooper Jukes, Tyrell Kenzig, Braylon Marsh, Zahn Medlin, Riley Todman, and Kai Willett. Let's show our appreciation to the Year 9 Academic A winners. The Academic A+ badges and certificates will now be distributed. Bryce Anthony, Jackson Broom, myself, Matthew Campbell, Alex Sirachi, Simon Green, Jack Hardy, Jacob Hill, Matthew Kershaw, Tyke Leonard, Jamie Long, Joseph Manns, Ben Mazafari, Riley McFarlane, Jacob Maguire, Lachlan Maguire, Samson Minto, Nate Pearce, Dan Rees, Addison Robertson, Jack Simpkins, Max Smith, Dominic Thompson, Josh Voke, Liam Welsh, and Roman Wilson.
And please put our hands together for the Year 9 Academic A+ winners. Thanks, guys. Well done. We have a very special musical performance for you now by our youngest musicians. And the whispering can stop, please, boys. Year 7 music classes of Mr. Owens and Mr. Owell will perform a traditional song and dance from the Torres Strait Islands. And I know I won't say this properly, so Torres Strait Island boys, please don't hold it against me. But the song is called Sesere Iya. Now, Sesere is the kingfisher bird, and the hand actions of the boys will depict the kingfisher in the early morning diving in and out of the water and darting for insects. The cycle finishes with the bird letting his wings gently brush the water as he flies off and comes to rest before starting all over again. Sesere is also believed to be a legendary hero who turns himself into a bird. Can you please put your hands together and make the Year 7 boys welcome?
Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, lopate. Lopate, melosiamate, Cecilia, lopate, melosiamate, Cecilia. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia, ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia, ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia, ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Cecilia, Cecilia, nine, nine, ropate. Ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia, ropate, melosiamate, Cecilia.
Okay. Well done, boys. That was outstanding. The Year 10, thank you. Year 10 academic awards will now be presented, and coming forward to do so will be William DeForno. William is an academic A+ winner, and William volunteered to take on the role of announcing his compatriots' results. So can you please put your hands together for William?
Distributing the awards to the Year 10 boys will be Mr. Jody Owl, Miss Keely Glenwright and Mr. Andrew Jones. Miss Glenwright is local, born and bred, undertaking her primary and secondary and tertiary education in Rockhampton. She completed a Bachelor of Teaching when she finished high school, but chose to take a position with Qantas, with whom she worked for 23 years. In her time with Qantas, she held middle management position in airport operations and staff training in Rockhampton and at the Brisbane International Airport. She realised her true vocation was teaching, and she returned to university to gain a Bachelor of Education. She commenced teaching in 2015 at North Rockhampton High School in English and Humanities. After 5 years in secondary sector, she accepted a position at the Yeppoon Primary School, where she was responsible for the transition of Year 8 students into high school. She now joins SBC as an English and Humanities teacher. Mr. Jones is an old boy of Morris College, Ashgrove. He holds a Bachelor of Education, majoring in Physical Education and Mathematics from the Queensland University of Technology. As a university student, he held the role of boarding supervisor at the Brisbane Grammar School and as a teacher aide in Learning Support Department at St Lawrence College. Mr. Jones will be teaching HP, Maths and Religion, while also working in the McHenry dorm. Please put your hands together for Miss Glenwright and Mr. Jones. Receiving academic achievement certificates and badges this morning are the following boys: Tom Saddams, Jet Day, Lachlan Doki, Dallas Feldman, Lachlan Griffiths, Oscar Hills, Dominic Lomas, Braith Lorenz, Corbin McDonald, Tavita Panaya, Harry Roth, Hugh Stiller, Cody Turner, Xavier Van Rennersburg, Sam Wassamo, Wraith Wren, and Jordan Wyville. Please put your hands together for the Year 10 Academic Achievement winners. From the Year 10 cohort, the following boys have attained an Academic A badge and certificate. Caleb Borman, Locke Conway, Darcy Drought, Patrick Elliott, Lachlan Farrington, Jacob Field, Connor Hines, Cooper Lee, Mackenzie O'Connor, Leo Simmons, Eden Smith, Ranger Sullivan, and Asta Tamwe, Cruz Warner, and Charlie Willis. Please give a round of applause for the Year 10 Academic A winners. Achieving the criteria to be awarded an Academic A+ are the following boys. Samuel Bent, myself, William DeForno, Jack Duggan, Blake Field, Eli Harding, Murphy Holt, Kaylin Humphreys, Rococo Hunt, Luke Moore, Austin Salter, Patrick Slade, Elijah Walker, Kalani Walsh, Kieran Weaver, and Wesley Witten.
Year 10 Academic A+ recipients. We'll move straight into the Year 11 awards, and to present them, Ben O'Brien, last year's Ducks of his cohort. Please make Ben feel welcome.
Distributing the Year 11 awards will be Mr. Cameron Watson, Head of Year 11, Mrs. Susan Lewis, and Mr. Sam Muir. Mrs. Lewis moved to Yeppoon with her family after 14 years at St. Augustine's College, an all-boys boarding school in Cairns. Prior to that, Mrs. Lewis taught with Education Queensland in several schools on the Gold Coast. She recently completed a psychology degree with honours while teaching at St. Augustine's, and used this degree in the implementation of the new ATAR psychology course. Mrs. Lewis is delighted to be teaching science and psychology at St. Brendan's. Mr. Muir was raised on the Sunshine Coast, but spent many years living in Ireland, Scotland, and Italy. He is married with 3 sons and moved to Yeppoon from Alice Springs, where he lived and taught for 10 years. Mr. Muir holds a bachelor's degree in theatre and a master's of education. He is an English, performance and humanities teacher, and he has had positions of responsibility in several boarding schools. Mr. Muir and his family are very happy to be at St. Brendan's and would like to thank everyone, students and staff, for their welcome. Please acknowledge Mrs. Lewis and Mr. Muir. The academic achievement recipients in the Year 11 cohort are Theodore Arians, who is absent on work placement, Narai Bindaru, Harry Brand, Charlie Busby, Fraser Caulfield, Aidan Drury, Hawani Harris, Mark Hode, Dylan Johnson, Jacob Louth, Lachlan McLeod, Aston Miller, Mackenzie Nixon, Zach Sainsbury, Hendrikus Voigt, and Jack Saab. Can you please congratulate the Year 11 academic achievement winners? The academic A badges and certificates have been awarded to the following boys: Mitchell Baker, Lincoln Beckett, Jack Broadfoot, Cooper Christie, Trey Gesler, Matthew Groves. Jet Hansen. Hayden Harvey. Jesse Hooper Lindsay. Alexander Hoy. Troy Karakiriakos. Robert McKenna. Jarvis Murray. Harvey Nye. Kai Pambid. Connor Sleeman. Riley Tyndale Smith. And Vincent Wilson. Please recognise the efforts of the Year 11 Academic A winners. The highest of our awards, the Academic A+ badges, go to these boys. Kaiden Ajisaka. Callan Campbell. Xavier Craggs. Elijah Edwards. Cameron Frankish. Isaac Green. Jeremy Green. Matthew Hay. Jet Mannion. Myself, Ben O'Brien. Alexander Rees. Jackson Smith. And Lachlan Sweeney.
Can you put your hands together, please, for the Year 11 Academic A+ winners? Got another musical performance for you now, boys. It's by Caleb Ballment. You may have seen, thank you. You may have seen Caleb's name mentioned before as an academic award winner. Caleb will be playing a trombone piece entitled Cool It by the Australian musician, artist and composer Kieran Bailey. Bailey was trained as a classical pianist but is also an accompanist trumpeter, flautist, violinist and composer. His music is in demand worldwide for his unique combination of jazz and also the classical styles that make it very approachable by young musicians. Caleb will be accompanied by Mr. Ingram. Please put your hands together for Caleb and Mr. Ingram. Of our awards this morning, the Year 12 Academic Awards. I ask Saxon Kona, the College Liberating Education Prefect, to come to the lectern. Please make Saxon welcome.
To present the Year 12 awards today, I'd like to invite Mr. Trevor Ganane, Mrs. Margaret Goves and Mr. Luke Thomas to the stage. Mrs. Goves was a foundation student at Emmaus College. On graduating, she studied music and mathematics education in Brisbane. She completed her degree and commenced her teaching career at Marian St. Stanislaus, Rockhampton. Mrs. Goves has been a district panellist in mathematics and is currently an endorser with Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority for General Mathematics. Mrs. Goves taught at Emmaus College for 33 years and joins SBC, where she is responsible for the delivery of the ATAR General Mathematics program in Year 12. Mr. Thomas is a first-year teacher. He completed his Bachelor of Secondary Education at the Central Queensland University. He supported himself through university by performing musical gigs at various venues. Mr. Thomas undertook one of his practical subjects at St. Brennan's College and found that he thoroughly enjoyed the community, the inclusivity, and the welcome he received. Mr. Thomas completed his practical subject with distinction and on the strength of his classroom performance was offered a position with the English and Humanities faculties. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Goves and Mr. Thomas. In the Year 12 cohort, the following boys are eligible for Academic Achievement Awards. Blake Anders, Elijah Guam Baldivia, Dempsey Davey, William Elliott, Casey Ferrugia, Flynn Hogan, Jove Jenkins, Hayden Johnston, Tane Kirona, Benjamin Moran, Keelan O'Brien, Jay Smith, Balin Wanchap, Riley Willis, and Borangar Young. Please congratulate the Year 12 Academic Achievement winners. Receiving Academic A+, the Academic A badges and certificates have been awarded to the following boys. Jack Billman, Connor Champion, Ben Charles, Bladen Dodd, Flynn Donaghy, Cameron Durden, Clay Gleeson, Jacob Groves, Mannix Hunt, Lincoln Johnson, William Lasker, Jai McDonald, Owen Paddy, Lachlan Perrin, Harry Perrott, Max Pollard, Xander Swillens, and Lachlan Tompkins. Please acknowledge the Year 12 Academic A winners. Receiving academic A+ badges today will be Ethan Bird, Declan Boulder, Logan Gardner, Chase Field, yours truly, Oscar Lake, Jesse Laverty, Tom Ogle, and Benjamin Sheehan.
Year 12 Academic A+ recipients. Right. So I know you've been sitting there for quite a while now, boys, and I know that you've given a lot of people a round of applause, but there is a number of people we need to recognise before we finish this morning. That's before we do the house points. We'll do that right at the end. So these events take a lot of time and a lot of effort to put together, and the people that generally do a lot of the behind the scenes work are always here. So I'll start by recognising Mr. Jorgensen and his tech crew. Can you please put your hands together for them? As well as working with and assisting Mr. Jorgensen, Mr. Corey Owens has been responsible for all the live streaming that goes up onto our Facebook and web page sites, so you can please acknowledge Mr. Owens. The musical performances take a lot of time and a lot of effort and certainly a lot of practice, and I thought the Year 7 performance this morning was thoroughly enjoyable. So can we please put our hands together for Mr. I'll just say their names, you don't need to clap again. Mr. Ingram, Mr. Owens, Mr. Walker is also behind the scene, and Miss Priddle. Thank you very much for all of your efforts. You can clap them again. The artwork that appears in between the slides is always fantastic and entertaining, and the artwork is responsible mainly by Mrs. Cooper, who was here all of last year, but also now Miss Goves in her role as head of department. So please put your hands together for them. All right, and before we sign off and head back to period 2, boys' schools are competitive by nature. Everything is a competition. Being the first to the tuck shop is a competition. Being the first to class is a competition. Then we have a litany of other competitions that take place. Mr. Corboy obviously introduces a new competition every time he gets up here. So the house points are no difference, and your academic performance on your semester 2 reports contributes to your house points. So for academic performance house points, in 4th spot, Hayes with 605 points. Well done, Hayes. Every point is an achievement, gentlemen. In 3rd spot, Tynan with 610 points. And this is always the one where people either cheer or don't. In 2nd spot, Gettins with 665. So congratulations, Dewey. Starting strongly this year as they left off last year with 805 points. All right, thank you, boys. Okay. So I'd just like to say one more thank you, and that's to the parents who have joined us this morning by live stream. We would have loved to have you here this morning to see your sons and recognise their achievements, but unfortunately with the COVID restrictions and the number of boys that we now have in the college, it's getting a little bit restrictive. But thank you again for joining us via live stream. Mr Cooper will do the dismissals, boys, so Mr Cooper, can you please come forward?
Thank you. There's one more person we need to thank, and that's Mr